How much should we worry about contagion in the crypto market, dare I ask, to what we're seeing in the stock market?
Well, I think so far we really haven't seen much, and there's certainly been a lot going on in the crypto market this week. But I think, to the extent that it causes more of a risk-off feel to the market, that could be considered some contagion. But I think more importantly, when we look at what's happening on the inflation side and what's happening with the Federal Reserve, I think that's ultimately what's going to impact the stock and bond market, and not as much what's happening in crypto. Although I will say that when we look at some of these unregulated parts of the market, that's what is of concern for us, and certainly cryptocurrency falls into that realm when we look at where there is leverage that's not regulated. Certainly it's in the cryptocurrency market. So I think we're seeing that come to fruition.
Weigh in, if you could, on this inflation debate. We heard Carl Icahn quite bearish. I mean, he's been bearish for quite some time. You heard what Jim Cramer just had to say about that. We've debated what we think the Fed is or isn't going to do, and whether this really is a pivot, or at least the first moment of something where if you're going to try to bet what the world looks like 12 or 18 months from now, that it's happening.
Yeah, I think this is a sign that maybe that soft landing scenario is really more within reach than we all anticipated it might be. So certainly very encouraging to see a lot of those core measures start to come down or stabilize a little bit. We'd certainly seen all kinds of ancillary measures of inflation coming down over the last few months, but it just was not showing up in the CPI number. So very encouraging on that front. Still have a long way to go, but if we look at what the cause of the increase in inflation is, it's still a ton of it is coming from that shelter category. More than half of the increase came from shelter. We know that there's a flawed way that it's measured. I think the Fed is also aware of that. So I think if we start to see continuation of improvement, which we would need to see a better number in November as well, that the Fed may back off a little bit and then potentially pause. But I don't expect the Fed to talk about any of that until they're actually in the moment doing it. So I don't think we're going to hear a lot other than more hawkish commentary likely, given that this is one data point.